Music. Sorry.
Take a picture, I want you to remember when I profess my love. Press the button, I hope it's still recording. Every word I
Hey guys, how you doing? Hi Sister Maxine, how are you, darling? Great to see you. I love this song. This was the song that my husband and I danced to at our wedding. Hey, Pastor Steele Michael, how are you? Great to see you. Pastor Mike, you're going to love this topic. It's right up your alley. And listen, I don't think there's going to be any internet interruption tonight because I made sure that we fix that. By the word, no, it's nothing plain. Lasts longer than the wedding ring. With the love we bring from the seed to sow, till the time it takes to grow. I won't let go. All right, we are going to cue the music and turn it off so we can get ready with our show. So thank you for joining. Welcome to the second episode of Victorious UTV. And last week we had a great episode planned, but the enemy had a different plan, and so we had to cut it a little short, but that's okay. The thing about it is if you don't let it bother you or, you will always be able to just bounce back. And that's what I love about being live, right? We can always bounce back. So I just want to make sure if you can hear me well, if you can see me well, I just want you to say, yes, I can. I can see, I can hear. If someone could just type that on the screen for me, I would love it. Yes, I can see. Yes, I can hear. So I know that we are all set. Hey, Max, thanks for saying that. Listen, that's the one thing I wish I could do, but that's okay. I can do other things, but I love singing. I just sing to myself all the time. So Maxine said, yes, she can see and she can hear. And so I am excited about that. All right. So thank you again for being here. I'm excited about this episode of Victorious UTV. For those of you who are just seeing me for the first time or may not know me, my name is Joan T. Randall. I'm a speaker, author, and coach, and I own Joan T. Randall Enterprise, LLC. And my company is also, I have the Victorious You Foundation, which is a nonprofit company. And my role is to help women go from stuck to success, to activate success so that they can be victorious in their life and in their business. And so today we have a great episode. It's the follow-up of my husband's, last week we talked about what it was like for a man, my husband in particular, to marry someone who he knew was a victim of domestic violence in the, in her prior life. And so we discussed that a little bit, and then we wanted to take it a little further. Another thing that happened, and this was when we kind of sealed the deal on our relationship, was a 6-hour drive from North Carolina to Washington, D.C. And right when he was getting ready to talk about that 6-hour drive, the internet went out, and so we couldn't finish the conversation. So without further ado, I am going to have my husband, Mr. Bill Randall, join me on screen. All right, come on over, babe. Let me just adjust myself so we can see each other. Say
hello, everyone.
To Facebook people.
Yeah, hey, Facebook. All of my family's there, I see.
Yeah. So we have Maxine is on, and Maxine is such a great friend. Pastor Mike is on, so we're happy to see that Pastor Mike is on. And we have some other people joining us. I can't see everybody's name at this point, but thank you for those that are joining. We're excited to have you. And this is going to be a great conversation because, right now, Maxine said, hi, Mr. Bill. We are in an attack, right? Because when you think about the family dynamic, especially the Black man and the Black woman, where the family is concerned, that whole dynamic is being attacked. So we have to stand firm in our relationship as Black men and Black women and really be the example for our children in what they should be doing when they get older. It is said that there's so many Black men in prison and then that there's no good Black men, but that is absolutely not true. And it's time for us as women to start recognizing our men and give them the credit that they are due. Like, we can't continue to call them dogs, right? Because that does not make sense. We have to be able to find the balance in terms of building that relationship with our significant other, our Black men who are powerful men. They're kings and they're princes. And it's time we start to look at them that way and stop thinking that there are no good Black men out there. The system and history in this country has done a number on our men, and we just need to get back to the basics and empower them to be the amazing kings and princes that they are. My friend Tina is on. Hey, Tina, how are you? Great to see you. I love it. Tina said, stand firm in Black excellence. I love it. Hi, Maxine. How are you, darling? Great to see you. Thank you for joining us. So we're going to continue with our discussion from last week. So we were talking about this drive, right, that we took from Charlotte to Washington, D.C. And that's when we were in the dating phase. And it was that drive that really kind of sealed the deal with our relationship. And so I want to turn the mic over to my husband first, tell a little bit about yourself, and then talk about what that 6-hour drive did for us.
Okay, so for those of you all that don't know me, I'm Bill Randall. I'm from Washington, D.C. Love Washington, D.C., but that 6-hour drive, I just want to explain it a bit. So it was the first time that we really, really opened up to each other to share some dark secrets of each other and our past and what we wanted in our future. For those of you all that know me, I'm not much of a talker. Hey, Tina, how are you? But for 6 hours, we were in a steady conversation, and I couldn't believe it. After arriving back in Washington, D.C., it was amazing to me that we actually talked the full ride, and we opened up about everything, what made us tick, what we didn't like, things that we were looking for in our future, our kids. For those of you all that know me, there are no steps in our family. The two girls that Joan have, they're my girls. My two kids, they're her kids. So, we really shared a lot of that as we drove, and it was very passionate. Sometimes it was emotional, and I will be the first to say, yes, tears came out of my eyes. Tears were flowing from Joan's eyes, but we really, really connected on that 6-hour trip.
Yeah. And that was when we got back to DC, we got engaged, right?
That's right.
Right around that same time, maybe a few weeks later, we got engaged because We were dating, but we had never really had an opportunity to really shed everything. And the most important thing about this relationship, we did not want to bring a baggage in the relationship. So it was important for us to share what we were going through, some of my past. And that's when I told him about my domestic violence. That's when I really, truly told him the whole story about getting beat up, about running away, about being homeless. I mean, those are some things that I hid from him for a while because I didn't want him to look at me in this light and say, oh, hold on a second. What am I doing with this woman who ran away and then was homeless? No, so it allowed me to open up to him. And in my mind, I'm saying if he left or, put a distance between us because of what I shared with him, then it was not meant to be. Right. And I think because I was so open in sharing those deep, dark things, he was able to share some things that he had really not shared with a lot of other people. And so we just put everything out on the table and it was beautiful and it was 6 hours. And so we knew that when we made this commitment, I love it. Tina said, no judgment convo. Absolutely. And then Pastor Steele says, that's awesome. Communication is the supreme need of every marriage. Absolutely. And so, when we made that commitment, we knew what we were getting into. We knew what we were looking forward to. And it was a beautiful thing. So I want to ask another question. What does,
Hey, Angela.
Hey, Angela, what does equality looks like in a relationship to you? And before I let you answer that, the reason why I'm asking about equality. Hi, Angela. How are you, dear? Maxine, I'm so happy to have you on with us. Latricia, great to see you. Thank you for joining us. Hey, Shonda Keynes, your uncle Bill is getting ready to talk. So the reason why I'm asking about equality is because in a domestic violence relationship, it's all about power and control. Hey, cuz, it's so great. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I love it. I love it. We work well together. And there's another great example on this line with people that work together is Pastor Michael Steele and his wife, Amy Steele, who are really close friends of ours. And we absolutely love them. And they set a great example for marriage. And we're just trying to emulate them. Hey, Cass, how are you? Great to see you. So, hey, Kelly, great to see you. Thank you for joining. So the reason why I'm asking about equality is in a domestic violence relationship, it's all about power and control. So one spouse having power and control over the other, and that creates abuse. The opposite of power and control is, hey, Paula, the opposite of power and control is equality. And so I want to ask my husband, Bill, what does equality in the marriage looks like, knowing full well that I, as the wife, knows that he's the head of our house, he's the head of our home, but then there is still a level of equality. So how do you create that, babe? And what would you share about that?
Well, the first thing I would say is love is about respect. So you can lose respect in many different ways. And just to tell you a little bit about myself, growing up, my mom, my grandmother were very, very important in my upbringing. And so a situation of opening the car door, opening any door was always.
Can I just say something? For all the years we've been together, I never touched my car door. I used to think that it's because he was only dating me. But until this day, I don't go into that car and touch that door. Yeah. That's the truth.
Well, it's something that, was installed in me or instilled in me from day one. And, I love it because even my son does it. So we understood the need of respect for a woman. My wife will never walk on the outside of a street. It will always be me on the outside and her on the inside. Sometimes she forgets that. So we find ourselves crossing over quite often when we walk because you change sides of the street. But she will never walk on the outside. So there are certain things that I have in me that will never leave me. If one person has more needs than the other person, hey, Twala, how are you, sis? You lose some of that respect. So it has to be an equal balance. One person can't have all the fun. So we both figure out ways to have fun. When you're following dreams, it can't be about one person's dream. It has to be a connection between the two so that we both have dreams that we're looking forward to. There are some things that I want to do in my career. There are a lot of things that Joan wants to do in her career. We support each other. We talk them through. We figure out what it is that we can do, what we can't do, and things that we can't do. It's not that we'll never be able to do them. It might be time sensitive. So we'll look at those things and we'll make those decisions based off of that. One person can't control the conversation. We both open up and we say what's on our mind and then we go forward. Now, of course, I'm not that type that's controversial, so I'll listen a lot and hear what she has to say. I understand that there are some things that I'll say, yeah, absolutely. And then I'll explain them to her in a different manner, and then she'll accept that at that time. I'm like that calm to her. Sometimes she'll get to a point, hey, Angela, how are you? I'm getting used to this, so when I see the names pop up, I don't want to lose track of what I'm saying. But going back to what I was saying, there's some times where she'll say some things and she'll really act off of emotion. I'll think them through and then I'll explain them to her and then she'll understand them. I always try to tell her, just breathe first and hear what you want to say, then say it. Because if you go too far, some things you just can't take back. So it's very important that we have that equal balance when we're together. Something as simple as going to the store. Let's say I'm going to the grocery store. I might buy a lot of things that I want, but I'll have to find that one thing that she'll really like so that when I come home, there's always something that she would want that I've made the time to just go into that aisle and get. And it could be anything. It could be body wash. If I go, I'm not going to go without bringing her something back. And we balance each other that way. So again, it's about keeping it simple between the two of us, but always respecting her beliefs and my beliefs.
So I just want to share something because when Bill and I decided that we were going to get married and be a couple, you're talking about bringing two totally separate people from different culture. He's American, I'm Jamaican. You know, we both had been married previously. We both had children. And so now we're bringing that dynamic together. You know, I'm a very strong-willed person. And he is just laid back and just like this cool cat, you know, and he's right. I'm emotional. Things will just upset me. And I just like, oh my God. And then he will just say, let's think about it. Calm down. Let's think about it. And so he is the balance, which I love. Pastor Mike said, God made us different on purpose. I love that. We complement each other. That's why opposites attract. And so I remember, being that person that was so, you know, because when you got beat up and then you become homeless and then you start to do things for your own, you become this independent person. And sometimes that can be to a woman's detriment. We can be too independent sometimes that we don't want to even sit and have a conversation that's healthy with our spouse because we feel like we're making enough money. We can buy our own home, buy our own car. And so we have this don't care attitude. I can do it all on my own. And so when we came together in this marriage, that's kind of what not that it happened, but I was still off that mindset that I can do whatever I want because I am this independent person. Mm-hmm. And I had to really sit back. Something happened one day, and then it allowed me to sit back and say, hold on, my husband is the head of our home. I need to at least talk to him and share with him some of the things that I want to do and make him my partner, as opposed to just saying it's my money, I can do what I want. So I had to learn to not take a back seat, but to be more understanding so that our relationship and our life can have that balance, because I have to respect him as the head of our home because that's how God made it to be, right? And at the same time, I needed to be able to have my own thoughts, my own will, whatever I do, but with respect for him and our home. You know, there are things that we need to discuss before I just go out and make random decisions, you know. just randomly. And I did that one time. I just went out and bought a car. Didn't tell him nothing. He had bought me a bicycle as a gift so that we could work out. And so I drove home, opened the garage door. I drove in with this brand new red car. And he goes, babe, look, I have a gift for you. And then he
No. Let me explain that situation. So I had gone to the store, and it was one of those times where I said, you know what? I need to bring her something home too. So I did. I had this great surprise for her because we were going to buy matching bikes, and we were going to start riding because we had been talking about that. So I had this ribbon around the bike and was ready to show it to her. And so when she was pulling up, she called and said, hey, I'm on the way home. And I said, great. I said, how far are you? So I had it all ready, and I was ready to open the garage and show her this great gift. And when I opened the garage and had this bow, she pulled up in a new, I can't remember the year, but it was a brand new vehicle. So now how do I look? Because I've got this bike and all bold and ready to go, and she came up in a brand new car, Lexus at that. So you can tell that that made me feel a little bit, because I was like, wow, I just spent $100 and something thinking I was big buying her a little bike that she wanted, and she came in with a brand new car.
Yeah, and I saw the look on his face, and it's not that he was upset that I bought the car, but I never even discussed it with him. I never even shared with him that I was going to do that. And, you know, granted, I could do it on my own. The fact that it was a part of our household money, you know, and I needed to make my husband a partner in doing. He would have never said no. He would have really gone. You can see you guys are fun. Yeah, we are, Maxine. And so that was a lesson for me. I felt it all the way in my heart when I did that, because I saw the look on his face as he stood there with a bike, the bicycle with a bow around it. And here I am in this brand new red Lexus at that. And everything just drained from his face. And I felt this big because I never discussed it with him before I did it. So those are some of the things. And that's equality, when you can discuss with your spouse what needs to happen in your home. So
the only thing I got right was the bike was red.
Right. Because it is my favorite color. So, yeah. So I have another question for you. And that question is, I am an entrepreneur, right? So my finances change based on that. What does that mean to you? How do you see that? You know, now that you have to do everything.
Well, in the beginning, I really had to think about it and say, wow, she really wants to do this. So, you know, to make things right, I'll never kill her dream. So it was a dream that she had. And one day it would be a dream that I have, because I want to retire as well. So the funny thing was, when she first said it, I had to really think about it and figure out and have a different lifestyle. So there were some things that I had to give up, and there were some things that she had to give up. But the bottom line was I was supporting her in her dreams and what she wanted to accomplish. So with that in mind, it was no issue. And it was just part of me that said, you know what, let's make it happen. Joan will step out on faith sometimes and just go at it. And I love that about her. That's one of the characteristics that really drew me toward her. So I know we both are very, very ambitious. I might do mine in a different manner, but the ambition is still there. So I enjoy that part of it. So when she comes up with new things, I think about them first. I will explain, because I always think of worst case scenarios first, so that if they do happen, we have a plan toward it. And then I can ease into saying, you know what, it works well, let's go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And he's right when he talks about risk. I'm a risk taker. And if I feel like there's something that's in me that I want to do, I would just go do it. One of my ex-coworkers is on here, Cass, and Cass and I were really good friends at Macy's, and we had a lot of conversations. And when I was getting ready to leave, I would have these one-on-one conversations with Cass, and Cass always encouraged me and say, girl, you go and just, do what God wants you to do. Just go fulfill your purpose. So I'm happy to see Cass on tonight because she always encouraged me. And we had a lot of one-on-one talks.
I see my friend Felicia there. Hey, I didn't shut the cameras down this time, Felicia.
I know, no camera shutting down this time. Listen, we changed the cable. We bought this big screen thing. We did a lot of stuff. I am not playing. And when I told you I'm doing my own lane, I'm making my own TV lane. And that's what I'm doing here right now. So let's just talk about, there is something that you and I discovered that really truly helped our marriage. And it was the 5 love languages. And so a lot of times you find that men and women will differ in what they deem their love language. And it's very, very important because so often one person tries to almost like use their love language as the language that their spouse may like. And I'll give you an example. If I love the physical touch, right? And my spouse loves words of affirmation, I may always want to hug him and hold him and, do all of the stuff when what he needs is for me to say, hey, baby, great job. You're amazing, or send him a text every day at work and just say, I love you, and encourage him. Right. So a lot of times we take what we want as our love language and give it to the other person. But that's really not the right way. We need to understand what it is that makes them tick, what they like in the relationship, what makes them happy, what makes them continue to come home. And when we discovered the love languages, man, we knew right away that we were like not doing the right things, right, babe?
That's right.
Because I am this lovey-dovey, huggy person, but he loves, what do you love? Acts of service. Mm-hmm. If he comes home and dinner is cooked, or I give him a massage, or I clip his toenails, or, the room is nice and clean. He likes when his bedroom is nice and clean. That's what makes him happy. Mm-hmm. Acts of service. Me, I just want you to hold me and hug me and that's me. So tell me, how did this work for us?
So the first thing is I had to understand what the love languages were. So, because when she first mentioned it, I'm like, love language? I don't need any love language. What are you talking about? I love you. And that's what I said. And when I read the book and I started looking deep into it, and I said words of affirmation and acts of service and gifts and quality time and physical touch. And I started thinking about them. And then she asked me the question, what makes you the happiest? And then I thought about it and I asked her what makes her. So it was very, very important that I understood exactly what it is that she liked and what she wanted, not taken away from what my thoughts were, because my thoughts were that if I just came home every night, she was fine. Hey, babe, I'm here. And everything was great. But I had to do something. So I noticed she loves gifts. So it doesn't have to be expensive gifts. Sometimes it's the smallest things. So she would get things just because, not because it was a special day or an occasion. I would just bring things home and just have a little card and say, just because. The one funny joke that I will tell you is this. So a few months ago, actually it's a couple of years now, we talked about roses. And
oh God!
So I would buy her roses all the time. So it wasn't just for Valentine's Day or anything, birthday or anniversary or anything like that. It was just because, and I did it a lot. So one day I was at work and this huge vase of roses came in, and I took a picture of them and I sent it to her and I said, "Babe, do you like this?" And she says, "Yeah." I said, "Man, I would love to buy this, and then I would never have to buy roses again." And she said, and I quote, "Babe, if I had that, you'll never have to buy roses." So one day I'll let her show you this huge bouquet. Now I don't have to buy roses anymore. So every time there's an occasion, I just spray them, clean them up a little bit. They look wet and real, and that's her roses. So that saved a lot of money on that side, where now she can get something else. So it's just really understanding what it is that she liked and what made her tick. So the physical touch. I know what she likes. So sometimes she just wants a hug. Yeah. I have to read the cues of when she just needs a hug, and I'll be that one to hug. The acts of service part is, treating her like my queen and making sure that she understands that she is my queen. And we go from there. So there are certain things that she likes, and there are certain things that I like. Acts of service, yeah, I do like to come home and the dishes are washed or the bed is made or everything, because she's home now. So, it's more of me getting up early and going to work and then coming home. So the last thing I want to do is come home to a house that nothing has happened in. So I want to see those type of things, and she understands that. Yeah. So we balance each other with that all the time.
So Twyla said the rose story is funny. Yeah, Twyla, you just saw it. The roses. I don't know if you paid attention. It's this huge glass vase, and it has like 36 red roses. If you see the roses, you think they're real. Everybody that walks in our kitchen area thinks the roses are real. They are not. He bought them. And then guess what? Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, my birthday, he sprays them with rose spray. He sprays them with rose spray and go, happy Valentine's, baby. Here are your roses. Well, the awesome thing about it, they will never die. They're beautiful. So I'm okay with not getting any roses because I have permanent roses in my home. So I think that was funny. All right. So, we are getting ready to wrap up. Is there anything you would like to leave with the audience, babe?
No, for the couples out there, I would just say, understand what your significant other's love language is, and really take the time to, if you truly love that person, you will actually take the time to learn it and then practice. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. Sometimes the love language part is forgotten and we try to remember and we recapture. Those things happen. But I think more importantly is that we will admit that we made the mistake and then we move forward. So Felicia knows this part. Embodying humility and respect runs in our household too. We really, really cherish that.
Yeah. And I just want to say this, right? No marriage is perfect. Not even our marriage. My Pastor Mike said, I also love that Brother Randall takes the time to be affectionate towards Sister Randall. The number one need of a woman is love. That is absolutely true. But I also wanted just to share this. No marriage is perfect. Remember, you're taking two individualized people and bringing them together as one, right? And so they're each going to come with their own idiosyncrasies, their ways, whether it's good or bad, who they are, their personality, their upbringing, all of that plays a part in, we are shaped based on how we were raised. And so when you're bringing that together, you also have to consider that dynamic. So it takes a lot of communication. It takes understanding. It takes compromise. It takes saying, I'm sorry, right? It takes saying, I'm sorry. Or, it just takes sometimes you not having the last word. And I know sometimes a lot of us as women always think that we have to have the last word. Sometimes you just got to let it go, and just, not have the last word all the time. But it takes work. Marriage is work. It is not always roses. There are going to be things that will test it, whether it's relationships, whether it is health, whether it is finances, whether it is spirituality. All of those things test your marriage. But you have to be willing and be committed to working through it. God knows sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I can't get through to him. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure he says that about me too. But at the end of the day, you just have to sit down and talk about it. And as he says, I am the one that sometimes will fly off the handle and just cry for everything. And then he's the one that's very laid back and he looks at things globally. And I love that. And that's where our balance comes in, because I look at this issue right now and I'm upset at this issue. And then he sits back and says, well, let us look at all the parts that created this issue, and see what is the reason, and then how we can go around it and fix it. And I love that. So I love that he balanced me, out that way. So any questions for us?
I saw one where my sister Jacqueline mentioned that her husband really is quiet and doesn't really talk. And some that used to be me as well. But I found out that if I don't share my opinion, because my opinion does matter, then I'll never be able to. So part of that love language is being able to speak up. If one person is the more assertive person all the time, then you lose a balance of respect. So I would challenge to find something that he really likes to talk about and maybe strike conversation that way. And it'll start, and then it'll give him the comfort level of being able to talk with you.
I love that. And let me share something with us. I never understood I hated sports. Hated sports before I met him. But when we got married, I realized he loved sports. So what did I do, babe?
Start watching.
There you go. I started watching sports. Why? Because I needed to understand what he loved and show him that I can appreciate it because he loves it. And now, let me tell you, I sometimes wake up in the morning and I turn on the sports channel and I'm like, hold on a second. Who am I turning into? I don't really watch TV anymore since my surgery, my illness. But every once in a while, I want to know who win the Super Bowl. I want to know who is playing in the finals for basketball. I'm watching hockey. I'm watching golf. I'm watching baseball. That's the only one I don't like, baseball. I never can understand it. He has to teach it to me so many times. But then football, he bought a carpet that looks like a football field, right? With the 10 yards, 20 yards, 30. And then he taught me from the carpet about the game. And so because I took interest in it, we have so much fun watching football now, right? So sometimes you just have to be able to understand what it is that your spouse love and be able to appreciate that instead of like being nagging, So that's it. Any questions for us? I'm just Michael Steele. Pastor Mike said, investing into your marriage is the key to lifelong marital bliss. Angela said, thank you, Twyla. Well, Lisa Renee, I love Lisa Renee. She's a sports girl. I told her we were in California together. I'm like, Bill would love you because all you do is watch sports, just like him. All right. So guys, listen, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Joan T. Randall, and I really want you guys to follow me on social media. And you can follow me anywhere on social media at Joan T. Randall. So Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and I have a Facebook page. I also have a group called Victorious You Movement. I would love for you to join that group and be a part of the Victorious You Movement. Hi, Lexi Lex. Thank you so much. Also, I have a lot of things coming up that I'd love to share with you. So stay tuned to this page. Again, Victorious You TV will come to you every Monday at 8 p.m. And we are excited to do this. I always say, if you can't get what it is you're looking for, create your own lane. And there's so many things now you can do to create your own lane. Listen, all we have is a microphone, a big screen thing, a computer. And listen, we have a studio in our home, right? So anything is possible as long as you think it. This weekend, if you're living in the Baltimore, Washington area, I will be coming up to the Embassy Suites at the Baltimore Harbor. I am nominated for an Authors Award in the category of Devotional of the Year. I'm super excited about that. So I'm coming up to Baltimore for that award ceremony on Saturday. And then I think the next week I'm going back, or 2 weeks later, to Washington, D.C. My premiere, the documentary that I came in, is being shown at the Glenarden Baptist Church, babe. Yeah. And so I'll be on the panel discussing that. It's called, the documentary it was called You Deserve More. And then I have my big conference coming up in October, which you'll hear a lot more about that. But stay connected to me. Again, my name is Joan T. Randall. I'm a speaker, author, coach, and I help women activate success. God bless you all. Thank you for joining us. I loved the interaction. And I'll see you right here. Same time, same place next week. I'll have both my daughters here next week talking about domestic violence and what they saw and how they were able to overcome. So come back and see me next week, Monday night, as we talk to Shay and Kay about their experience with domestic violence. God bless you all. And thank you so much for tuning in. Any last words, baby?
Thank you all.
Yay!
Love your family.
Love you guys.
Right.
Take care. God bless
Take
you.
Care.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.